What is up? We are in the dog days of the NBA season as we march towards the playoffs. But one thing we got to talk about, Wemby is just taking the league by storm. And here's my question, guys.
Yeah.
Is he the best prospect we've ever seen?
Ever seen?
Maybe let's go all sports.
All
sports, best prospect ever.
Okay, that's tough. That's a big stretch. I mean, even within NBA, I don't think you can say
It's
he's
LeBron.
a better. Yeah, I don't think you can say he's a better.
That's what I think too. I'm
but
just
since
asking
LeBron,
questions.
since LeBron, I think it is a slam dunk. There's never been anybody with the ceiling. Nobody's got the ceiling that Wemby has. Right
He's
now,
a
that
physical freak.
Yeah.
Like he's got like dimensions that are just like unseemly. The fact that he can move the way he does. The fact he's so damn flexible at that height.
You really want to get the stretch video in this early?
Yeah, it should be on
Right
loop.
at
It should be on loop, man. Like he just, my worry with him was like, is he gonna get hurt? That's always the worry with guys who are that big.
Yeah, that's fine.
He hasn't been hurt this year. He's been super agile, and the quotes coming out of him, like he's starting to feel himself a little bit more. I think that's great for the league. I would say maybe calm down on some of the quote stuff. I know we're gonna talk about Defensive Player of the Year odds, which are insane to me. He's a freak, dimensionally just like 7'5", can move, do that stuff. He's unbelievable, but LeBron's still the best prospect.
Yeah, whoever said we're all created equal never saw Wemby play basketball. So it's getting to the point where it looks unfair.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's 7'5". He basically can cover the entire half court by himself. He's now starting to shoot well, which is scary for the league.
His handle. I didn't realize he had such a good handle.
He's got some dimes.
He's throwing like great dimes. It's getting to the point where it's like, what scares me about this is, in theory, this is the worst version we're going to see of Wembanyama. So what does that mean for the rest of the league? To quote The Simpsons, I, for one, welcome our new overlord.
Yeah.
And I, for one, welcome our new insect overlords. Like to remind them that as a trusted TV personality, I can be helpful in rounding up others to toil in their underground sugar caves.
The thing about Wemby is like, there's a combo of eye test. I think we all see it. He does things like every night. He's doing some things we've never seen, and then every night you hear on the broadcast or on Twitter, it's like, oh, statistically, Wemby does A, B, C, D. Nobody's done it since this person, that person. So you get the best of both worlds. Stats, he's doing crazy things. Eye test, you just get wowed by some of the things he's doing. So I don't recall the last time anybody's ever done that.
You mentioned the stats. Look at the stats, like both season stats, which we just brought up a second ago, but also now look at the stats since the All-Star break. He's over 4 blocks a game. He's almost at 5 dimes a game. You're not supposed to be able to do that this early in your career.
It's the pull-up threes. It's just he just has like a cadence to him. He seems very smart. But like, you have to win titles. Like, best prospect ever, whatever the question was. Like, LeBron James exists. What he's been doing for how long he's been doing it, I don't think anyone expected that from LeBron. We were watching his games on pay-per-view. We're old enough to do that.
Dude, I remember when I was in watching his high school games, and it's like this guy's.
It was must-watch
his slam
TV.
feature as a sophomore in high school. Like,
Yeah, LeBron came into the league with the most amount of hype imaginable, and it exceeded it.
Yep.
So that's just
Which
a
is
tip of the
insane.
hat to his career and how great he's been. But I will say this. Wemby in year 1 looks more dominant than LeBron did in year 1. So who knows what the future holds? There's many years to go. There's a lot of development he has to do.
Year 2 is huge for Wemby, right? Because that's when LeBron that ascension came very quickly. Wemby is, I think, on that path just from half the season, the first half to now. We've seen it. But we need to calm down a little bit, all right? I don't want to, be the party pooper. I'm hearing stuff about, how he's, second favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. He's plus 600 now on FanDuel. Can we please stop with this? The Spurs are last in the Western Conference.
Yeah,
and they have 15 wins as of this taping, and you want to give this guy Defensive Player of the Year?
People like the shiny new toy. That's all it is.
Listen,
and people are betting it. That's why.
I'll tip the cap on Rookie of the Year. I'll tip the cap. I was wrong.
Check in. We're all wrong.
Just say it one more time.
I was wrong.
At least he's admitting it. He's admitting it. It's fine.
Okay.
Chet, to me, was more of, in my opinion, came into the season more polished. I think he has single-handedly elevated OKC to this point. It gives them something that he's a unicorn. He can shoot the 3 and defend the rim. Very few 5s in the league who can do that. I just didn't expect Wemby to just, I knew he'd be shiny. I knew the highlights would be there, but it's every game.
Look, to quote something Wemby said previously, Chet is a Rookie of the Year. It's just the wrong season.
What a bold.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
What
But
a bold
to get back to Defensive Player of the Year, I see people, mainstream media, fans, they're starting to move the goalposts on this. I realize Wemby's leading the league in blocks, and they look much better defensively with him. He's not the defensive player of the year.
No, he's not.
You can't be the DPOY on the 23rd ranked defense in the league. I'm sorry. All the individual stats you want to throw out there, that's great. He's probably going to win 7 in his career. Not this year. Because Rudy Gobert has been the pillar of the number 1 defense in the league. End of story.
Spurs are last place in the West. You have to factor in the entire season. The Timberwolves are first place defensive rating. They're the best defensive team in the league. I get it. Let me pull out. No,
just for full transparency for our viewers, how many Gobert Defensive Player of the Year bets do the 3 of you have? And let's just let them know where this is coming from.
This is important to note. Okay, so there is a track.
There's quite a bit of money on
we all have
Rudy
shares.
Gobert.
But the point being is, it comes from a place of the track record of this award. If you look at the last 10 years of voting for this award, the winner of DPOY has either been on a top 3 defense or a top 3 seeded team. So Wemby, who is generational, he'd have to sway every single voter to move away from what has been tradition in terms of how this vote is traditionally voted on. I think Gobert is having a very justified season. It's not like, oh, we're just going to give it to some guy because this is the criteria and, oh, I guess he fits. Gobert's having a good season.
He's the defense player.
He's having a great season.
I'm very emotional about this.
If it was
you think you're emotional? You should have seen Fab sweating when Gobert sat the other night, thinking he wasn't going to get 2 more games to hit 65.
Got to get to 65 games. That's all we need, brother.
Get to 65.
Prayers up.
Yeah, we have money on Rudy.
I just want full transparency with the viewers.
And he also deserves the award.
Yes, that's it.
Wemby can get it next year. Wemby, man, this is what he said. All right, get the quote board up. Here we go. I know that Rudy has a very good chance of winning this year, and it would be deserved. Let him win it now, because after that, it's no longer his turn.
I love that. Yeah, that's great.
I love that. But
that's all you need to know about Wemby.
But not this year, man. Not this year. I do kind of like how Wemby's like flexing though. He's talking.
The context is that's his mentor, right? So it's not like he's not for free. It's not just a random guy.
Man, I would love to. Man, a little side note here, but like, are both of them going to share the floor together in France?
That would be.
They probably will.
Oh
they probably will.
Oh my God.
Well, because Wemby's athletic enough.
Just camp them out in the paint.
But Wemby's athletic enough to chase dudes down.
Oh yeah, he'll be.
Hey, he started the season at the 4 under Pop.
Man,
FanDuel, do we have Olympic odds yet?
Man, them and Evan Fournier, it's gonna be amazing.
Let's wrap up Wemby with this. If we're drafting players we love to watch, for me, Zion is still number 1, especially with what he's doing lately.
Man, yeah, you know what?
I love Zion, but Wemby's
Zion?
Recency bias.
No, okay, but even go like rookie Zion.
I know.
Point Zion's been
But Wemby is probably in my top 5 now. Like, I'm putting on Spurs games now because it's like, this guy's on the floor. I'm sorry,
I can't have Zion ahead of Anthony Edwards.
Oh my
cramming.
goodness.
Cramming on guys. I'm sorry. You can't have Zion ahead of Ant.
Yo, roll the video, man.
Man, he is so fun, man. Every year there's a guy that's about to get crowned, and nobody crowns guys like Ant.
Yeah.
So I'm just sorry.
God.
Even that sequence from like, I think it was last week or a couple weeks ago, where he had the dunk or the block,
then the block on Neesmith to end the game, buzzer beating block.
Ant-Man just such an exciting, like, refreshing character in the NBA, and I hope only the best.
Is Wemby in your guys' top 5 though? In terms of watchability?
Hands down.
Yeah, at this point, it has to be.
We're not drooling about it like you are, but yes.
Hey man, I still have Zion ahead of him.
yes. Ant-Man, dude, Ant-Man, like, thank God we had him on our tier list. Fab, you had him higher. Kudos to you, but like, it's one of those guys, I know we're segueing here, but like one of those dudes who just like, he can just take over a game offensively and then shut your ass down on the other end.
Yep.
And that kind of, and just an alpha when he does it. I would love, like, Ant-Man to me is top 3 watchability. I also may have some futures on. I'm very invested in Minnesota.
I can't wait for him come playoffs too. That's when the best of him comes out.
Listen, man, they gave Denver a run last year. Man, I got a lot of money on Minnesota futures. Chris Finch, Coach of the Year. We got Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year, and maybe sprinkling on Minnesota to win first place.
So that's a perfect segue because as the season.
Funny how that works. Funny how that works.
It's last call for futures.
Yes, it is.
Last call for futures.
Value season.
And
That's probably all gone, to be honest.
I think we talked about Rookie of the Year. Rookie of the Year isn't even on the board anymore.
Yeah,
that's
with good reason.
Let's talk about Minnesota and let's talk about OKC, because there's an interesting market in terms of it's basically to win the division, but it's essentially to win the 1 seed in the West.
Yeah.
OKC, at the time we're taping this, has a half game lead, but they are plus 220, I believe.
And they own the tiebreaker over the Nuggets.
That's
But now,
the biggest thing.
One big factor though, I believe OKC, their strength of schedule is 7th hardest, whereas Denver's strength of schedule is, I think, 22nd hardest.
Yeah.
For the remaining point.
Okay, so I literally ran game by game between Denver and OKC, what they have left. OKC, I think you have 8 games you can argue they might lose.
Wow.
Denver has 7 games that they might lose. But regardless of the strength or the weakness of all of the remaining teams that are winnable games, whether it's win by 5, win by 20, a win's a win. So for me, I'm really looking at the games that are competitive where Denver might lose, games that OKC might lose. They're only 1 game off. So I actually think there's a chance that they end up just on like dead center, they tie, and OKC has a tiebreaker.
So are you taking that OKC?
I think that's one of the last few value bets left. I think OKC absolutely at that price shouldn't be there.
Do you think they feel pressure going down the stretch here, knowing what's at stake, knowing that first seed in the West is on the line? Denver's been tried, tested in that regard.
Yeah, does Denver care as much?
I think Denver actually does care. It's the opposite of last season, where I felt like they didn't care because they had first place wrapped up. Even Jokic essentially, I think, tossed away the MVP. This year seems to be flipped. Denver actually does care. Other than that Kyrie buzzer beater that like squashed their hopes, the left-handed
Amazing
hook.
shot. Just
Run that video too, man.
Incredible buzzer beater.
Like that. And that was
that's the shot of the year, right?
One of the
I
shots.
feel like Campbell recreated that last night in the Bricklayers big win Monday night
thank you.
against Swanigans, but
Shot of the year, but I just think going back to it,
Yeah, thank you.
I think OKC is one of these teams. They have a lot to prove. I think OKC kind of knows they're probably not going to make it too far in the playoffs, so they got to have some sort of achievement this year.
Interesting.
So that's a question. So how do you all feel about OKC in the bigger picture of the playoffs?
I think that for young teams, it's hard. We were talking about this earlier. When you have young horses, they can get you through the regular season. I think they're able to do that. Once playoff time comes around, I think the cream rises to the top. I think Shea might be figured out. I think Holmgren can get bullied inside.
Giddey's going to be a problem in a playoff
They're
series.
already.
We saw it Saturday night. You can sag off of him, and I think Zach Lowe talked about this of like, that's their first move in a playoff series. Do we move Isaiah Joe into the starting lineup because teams sag off of Giddey?
And they've been flirting with that in the regular season. I think to me in the playoffs, you need guys who can shoot and guys who can guard. And whatever weakness you have, it's going to be exploited exponentially.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say listen. This year they're the 1 seed in the West. They've been like a symphony this year. They move so well. It's motion. Everything's connected. Shea is pulling strings. They deserve where they're at. They're a top 5 defensive team, top 5 offensive team. But it's the regular season, and they're super young. Their average age is just over 24.
Yeah.
The only team to ever win a championship that young was the Blazers in the 70s. So the playoffs, unfortunately, young teams take their lumps.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's usually just the path of how it goes. But I don't want to discount them completely.
Can they win
To say
around?
they can't
Like, I think they can definitely win around.
Sure,
Yeah.
they can win around. I'm just saying to make it to the finals, I just don't think people realize it's so much for a team that's never even won a game.
I think that's crazy
Playoffs.
finals. I think they'll struggle in round 1 because the West is so
I
loaded.
have a crazy stat. Their starting 5 in OKC has less playoff experience than rookie Jason Tatum.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, well, that's what it is, and so that's the issue, right?
It's a different animal.
It's a different animal. I also think if you want to talk X's and O's, if you look at how OKC gets a lot of their buckets, they're great in transition. They work off of turnovers.
That
very
dries
well.
up in playoffs big time.
In playoffs, every team defensively tightens up. Everybody gets back faster. They're more organized. And like you said, a lot of this stuff gets a lot game planned for a little bit more effectively. Yeah. I don't know if OKC has the adjustments to mirror what's going to come. That being said, they're a great team. I don't want to sound like I'm not on the OKC bandwagon. I am. I just think there are a lot of experienced teams in the West that can give them a run for their money more than,
It's matchup based.
Yeah, more
like
than
if they run into Dallas, you got Luka, Kyrie, but you also have listen, I love Chet, but you don't have the big man depth, in my opinion, to survive the playoffs. You need some beef inside. You need some muscles inside. I feel like they're a great team. I worry about their lack of playoff depth. If they go up against a Dallas or an LA or a Golden State.
The size of LA is a problem for them, 100%.
I think all those teams are a problem only because of what they've done. So it's much easier to believe a team.
So
that's
let's put on our hypothetical playoff hats here. Say the Lakers get the 8 seed. What does FanDuel have those odds? Is it like minus 160 OKC? Like how big of a favorite is OKC against LA?
Public money is on LA for sure.
And to me, it's the matchup. We've seen LA really match up well with OKC.
Yeah, I would be hard not to sprinkle on LA personally.
No, OKC's got to be minus 200.
You really think that high?
Honestly, I think they could run the Lakers out of the gym.
Yeah, I don't think the Lakers are the best example. I think if Dallas gets stuck in the play-in,
Dallas would scare me more.
I think Dallas would beat them.
That would be tougher. Right now, both Lakers and Warriors are plus money to make the playoffs. So the realistic outcome is Dallas or Sacramento. And for this example, let's just say it's Dallas. Then yeah, I think it becomes close to like a 6-game opening series, maybe even 7. But OKC should be favored. It's just they wouldn't be a traditional one-seed favorite.
All I'm saying, and this doesn't surprise me coming from two of you, you're being a little dismissive about the Lakers. And same thing happened. Hey, we argued about this last year with the Grizzlies.
They're plus money.
Hey, last year, one of our biggest arguments, Wes, was this Grizzlies-Lakers series last year.
Let's just be fair that like the Lakers are 5 games above 500, and
what were they last year, and where did they go last year?
So this is the time to say
most competitive sweep in.
Just bet it. Just bet it.
Yeah, I will.
They're the 10 seed.
Yeah,
they have to win. Right now, they have to win 2 road playoff games to get into the playoffs. So let's not even put them in the playoffs yet, because okay, are you taking them over Dallas in a play-in on the road?
Maybe.
No,
maybe
you're not. Probably not. So, and last year, let's be honest, they got a very favorable path. They had a Memphis team that completely fell apart at the seams, and a Warriors team.
A young Memphis team without
that lost 3 starters.
I know.
Yeah. Steven Adams, the core.
Yeah.
A core
Brandon
member
Clark.
of their entire
Brandon
team.
Clark was out as well.
Brandon Clark was out. So that being said, the whole question was OKC as a 1 seed. Do they have? They will not be a traditional 1 seed.
Do they have the best player in a series against the Mavs?
Oh man,
I think it's
good question. Yeah.
I think that's a 50-50.
Based on our tier list, he is not.
Yeah.
So to me,
because of the experience.
If you're going in the West, right? Like to me, best player, best team, they usually win, right? Like what? Jokic is 1. I would put Kawhi as 2.
Healthy Kawhi, yes.
Healthy Kawhi, 2.
Yeah. We're not rehashing that.
No, we're not
Luka
doing
3. So to me, it's like you got Shea, who's there, like great player.
You're
has
putting
not
Luka
done
over
it.
Steph?
At this juncture,
At
I
this
think you have
juncture,
to.
I
I think you have to.
Yes, I think you have to right now.
I think you have to. It's just very interesting. Again, we don't want to seem like we're poo-pooing on OKC.
No, I don't want to at all.
Shea has a very credible MVP case.
Yeah.
Just come playoff time, I like experience.
I do think it would do them very well to just stay out of the Nuggets part of the bracket.
Yeah.
I think if you can at least be in the 2-3,
Avoid that.
or the 1, vice versa, just avoid that that Denver.
Like every team's
Look,
taking
the way it's mapping out, it's going to be those 2, 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So they will be out of their way into the conference finals.
We'll see. Yeah.
You don't think Minnie can make any noise there?
I think Minnie right now is slowly falling off. The odds suggest that they're going to fall off. So
Well, no cat.
Yeah, following what FanDuel and oddsmakers are suggesting, it's 1-2 Denver or OKC. Yeah.
But if Minnie does get to the 1 seed, that Chris Finch Coach of the Year,
Yeah, there we go.
looking real good.
Perfect transition. Is there?
That's what we do here.
Our last call on futures. Is there any awards? What are you guys looking at?
So we've discussed ad nauseum about this one future. It has to do with Coach of the Year. So Daniel right now, I believe, is like minus 600 or something crazy.
Mark Daigneault.
Mark Daigneault. He is favored to win it. Probably will. Great. There's a little sprinkle there. There's some value there with Jamal Mosley of the Magic.
So Jamal Mosley, Coach of the Year. This is a dart throw at this point. It was 80-1 a couple weeks ago. It's 34-1, I believe.
As of this taping.
From our friends at FanDuel.
Yes.
And you just gotta give him credit for what he's done. I mean, the Magic have exceeded their win total. They were projected to win 37.5 games. They're already over 40 wins, or at 40 wins.
Expected to win 48.
They're a 5 seed in the East. They've had injuries all year. Their best players are all under the age of 23,
Also,
and they're a top 5 defense. So
traditionally, this award usually goes to the bad team that overachieves a ton.
Yep.
And they're the format.
I'm not saying Daigneault shouldn't be the favorite right now, but Mosley being at 34-1, he's got to at least be second or third in the conversation.
Agreed.
Like they have no business winning this many games.
He should be ahead of Joe Mazzulla.
Yeah. So I think my comment on Mosley is that I think he deserves to be a finalist.
Yeah.
34-1 suggesting he's not.
Yeah.
I think what his body of work with the Magic, he deserves to be in that mix. I don't think he gets to the finish line.
Yes, exactly.
I think ultimately, he took a team that was 40-42, 25 wins 2 years ago, and is now the 1 seed. That is an impressively difficult narrative.
And I'll push back on that, only because OKC was bad on purpose for years. They were building to this moment.
They played without a center last year.
That's fair as well. And they were 40-42. Their turnaround has been remarkable. I think a lot of that has to do with Shea and Chet specifically. But the Magic are incredibly young, to your point. Like,
I
don't think anyone expected them to be at this point. They have skyrocketed over their season win
People
total.
were putting them with the Raptors at the beginning of the season.
Well, and also, if you're looking at let's look at the talent difference between these teams. Like, you're talking about a Magic team that people are like, they don't even have like a real bench. Like, it's a very impressive coaching job to get a young team to buy into an identity.
Especially defensively.
Like, we're talking about actual
Especially.
coaching, right? With that said, Dagnall's the favorite. He probably wins.
He probably wins.
But if you're looking for a little,
Dart throw.
little dart throw,
If they
34 to
could
1.
do like a Mosley and like finalist for the award bet, that type of thing, I would definitely go hard on.
What a degenerate bet that was.
I know.
Coach of the Year finalist.
Is he on most ballots?
Yeah.
It is.
All right, let's finish with a little Bettiquette. We're bringing it back.
Bettiquette, man.
Some Bettiquette here, and we're talking emotional hedging. Something I believe myself and Fab believe in.
The corners.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas
right,
the
Emotional.
Can't lose.
yeah, exactly.
You don't win everything, but you can't lose.
And to be honest, I did some emotional hedging last night. I'm playing Wes in fantasy.
Okay.
Wes is gonna smoke me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going against Brow. I'm gonna at least have fun while I watch Brow torch me. I bet his Godfather hit by half a point, and it's like, yeah, Wes is killing me in fantasy, but at least I won my bet on FanDuel.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you need some context here. So if you're willing to wager money against, an emotional result you care about as a fan,
Yes.
how much is it worth to you?
Yeah.
This isn't something I overuse. I'm not like, I'm going to emotionally hedge every time one of my favorite teams is playing. But if it's like a, big playoff game and you're like, how much am I willing to pay to see my team win this game?
Yeah.
That's the question
But
I ask myself.
you understand that you're winning and losing simultaneously, right?
Yeah, that's fine, though. But you could
Don't
lose
you-
both.
Oh, but you can win both.
Sometimes, there you go. I'm pro the
I'm
double down
greedy.
sometimes too.
Dude, I'm a double down savant.
Yes.
I would say me and you would say we live in extremes. If we believe something, we put our heart behind that thing. We don't just like play
Okay,
both
Reed.
sides.
I put my heart in the
Too
dog.
much heart.
But
we don't
obviously
play
you have to-
both sides.
But obviously you have to use your brain and think what you think's gonna happen, right? Like
That's usually where my money goes.
exactly. But
goes
oftentimes
with
when I
brain.
emotionally hedge, it's because I think what the opposite of what I want is gonna happen.
So your money goes with your brain,
Yes.
but in your heart is where the emotion.
Yes.
Comes
So
in.
you know what? Whatever. If I lose this and I see this, Team X win, great. That's amazing.
Listen, you guys can live how you want to live. I respect it. If you want to come out of any game and having a positive result because you want to feel good about yourself, that's great. I like volatility.
Yo.
I like
The
the
double
volatility.
down is good sometimes. Like,
Oh,
honestly,
I love me a double
in
down.
terms
So
of
you don't believe in it. You don't believe in the concept at all.
I understand it, but I reject it outright.
So you reject it. You reject it as well, flatly.
Cowards. Just a bunch of
I didn't
cowards.
want to say it. I didn't want to say it. I didn't
See,
want
now,
to say it.
This is where we're different. I don't think you're emotionally attached to any teams enough to care. Whereas you probably are.
I'm a mercenary.
I am, and
I'm
you're
a-
more of a mercenary.
I'm a mercenary.
Okay.
So then it's easy for you to have that philosophy
still
because your
bleed-
heart's not in it.
Yeah, I bleed red. He definitely bleeds green.
Red-blooded gamblers, green-blooded gamblers. Green, red. Well, I don't know. Maybe you're a murky mix.
What is when you put red and green together? What color
that
comes
blue?
out? Is it blue?
I don't know. I honestly, we did not pass kindergarten. That's for sure. I will say this: my whole attitude about it is like, if you're gonna bet, you have to be comfortable with failure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you
And
look
that's
at
and that's my attitude about all of it. It's like once you put down on a position, hey, you put a lot of thought into that. Accept it.
Yeah.
Move on to the next.
But you
Like,
look
that's
at it like a stock. You look at it like a businessman. I mean, one day we'll bring people in and just show the Excel spreadsheet of every
God.
single bet
Yeah.
Wes has made in his entire life. That'd be a fun
just
a
like-
fun
At-
scroll.
At the end of the day, I'm not advocating anybody to do anything. You
I'll
do
do what you
whatever
want.
Yeah,
put your money wherever you think it's
Sometimes-
best. But you know what? If you want to soften the blow of a potential crushing loss,
But
then
sometimes
bet against
the
it.
double down is
Yes.
fun. But when when the Bills lost to the Chiefs, I was tripled and quadded down.
Bills fan,
like
just in case
that
it's fair
though. When you double and triple down and then lose, it's just the
See, I
it's
did
the most
the opposite.
it's the most
I
sinking
kept
feeling.
betting the Packers against the Cowboys. 'Cause I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm just like glutton for punishment.
But you know what?
I like being
One of the
hurt.
most fun double downs ever, and you were there when Shaw scored England against Italy in the Euros. How
Yeah.
fast we all pulled our phone out to double down against England in the Euro final,
What-
and we were all laughing in the end, and it was a double down happiness.
One thing we can all
it
agree
was a
on:
magical day.
English tears.
Yeah, yes, yeah. English cheers in soccer are the best cheers. We can all agree on that.